I remember the night Adanna was beaten like a thief. The moon was high in the sky, watching, but it did not help her. The wind whistled through the trees, carrying her cries, but no one came. I was there. Standing by the doorway, my small hands trembling, my heart beating like a drum in the hands of a strong drummer. I saw it all. Adanna was my cousin, but she lived in our house like a servant. When her mother died, her father married Nneka, a woman with eyes as sharp as a blade and a mouth that never spoke kindness. Nneka came with her own daughter, Ifinanya, who walked around the compound like a fattened hen, never lifting a finger to work. But Adanna. Oh, poor Adanna. She became the hands and feet of the house. She swept, she cooked, she fetched water, she washed clothes, yet she still got insults like they were part of her daily meal. That night, Nneka accused Adanna of stealing meat from the soup pot. The pot had been full when she cooked, but now 2 pieces of meat were missing. Adanna swore she did not touch it. But who would believe her? Ifinanya stood in a corner, licking her fingers. The smell of oil still dancing in the air around her. I knew the truth. I knew that greedy Ifinanya had taken the meat, but who was I to speak? I was just a child, and fear tied my tongue like a rope. Nneka beat Adanna with a thick cane, each stroke landing like thunder on her back. Thief, she shouted. Liar, she screamed. And when Adanna fell, her small body curling on the ground like a wounded animal, Nneka poured cold water on her. Sleep outside, she commanded. The night was cold, and Adanna had only the clothes on her back. She shivered under the mango tree, her tears mixing with the dust. I wanted to go to her, to hold her, to whisper that she was not alone, but my legs refused to move. My heart was full of fear, and my body was weak with helplessness. Morning came, and Adanna was still outside, her skin covered in mosquito bites, her eyes swollen from tears. My uncle, her father, walked past her, like she was an old rag left on the ground. He did not ask. He did not care. Days passed, and life continued as if nothing had happened. Adanna worked harder, Ifinanya ate fatter, and Nneka's eyes burned with more wickedness. But something inside Adanna changed. She no longer cried. She no longer begged. She carried her suffering like a silent warrior, waiting. And one day, when the sun was high and the air smelled of ripe palm fruit, Adanna disappeared. At first, Nneka rejoiced. Let her go and suffer outside, she said, laughing with her sharp, snake-like voice. But when weeks turned into months, her laughter turned into worry. Where was Adanna? Rumors started floating around. Some said she had run to another village. Some said she had gone to the city to find work. But my grandmother, the oldest woman in the compound, said, a child who carries pain in her heart will one day carry strength in her hands. Years later, when Adanna returned, she did not come as a poor girl. She came riding in a cart, dressed in fine clothes, her hair shining like fresh palm oil. She had become a woman of wealth, and her eyes no longer held fear. Nneka ran to her, pretending to cry. My daughter, I have missed you, she wailed. But Adanna only looked at her, smiled, and said, I did not come back for you. Then she turned to me, held my hands, and whispered, thank you for seeing me when no one else did. And just like that, she left, leaving behind the taste of regret in Nneka's mouth and the lesson that the wind never forgets the cries of the oppressed.